Welcome to the Penalty Kick Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Gio, and it is time to break down the brand new head coach of the San Diego Wave FC. I'm stoked. We had a pretty rough San Diego Wave FC season last year. There was a lot of things happening, not only on the pitch, but off the pitch as well for San Diego Wave FC. So I'm kind of glad to see this revamp. Jonas Eidvall is our brand new coach, 42 years young. So I don't want to say a young coach because coaching has changed so much since, I was a kid. Most coaches would easily be 50, 60 plus. These used to be, especially young 40s used to be considered very, very young. But sometimes you see coaches in their 30s and, early 40s, now quite a bit. So not per se the youngest coach you'll see out there. But what I will say, I do like this in the sense of connecting with players, being young and enthusiastic and having an absolute fervor for the game, I think is awesome. And from what I've read about Jonas, this guy is an enthusiastic human being. I'm a very enthusiastic human being. I bring a lot of joy to everything I do. So when you bring joy, when you bring passion, it gets passed down to your players. Coaches instill philosophy. They instill passion. They instill drive. They instill structure. The team takes the image of the coach. And so coaching is super, super important. And what I've read about Jonas is absolutely phenomenal. So nationality from Sweden, so he's going to have an international lens to the game. Again, you know me and the international lens to soccer. I think it's very, very important. I love bringing it to the NWSL because I think this is probably the best or the second best women's league in the world. So to bring talent such as Jonas, I think is super important because this dude has won everywhere he has went. So just to talk about, his past just a little bit, from Sweden, got his coaching start in Sweden. First real, big head coaching job was with FC Rosengard, which is a team in the first division of Sweden. So the top soccer league in Sweden. And in 2013 and 2014, he went back-to-back first place finishes for those years. Then he actually kind of, left and went to a couple other clubs, but he ended up returning and he won a domestic cup for FC Rosengard in 2019, and he won the league title in 2019 and also took the team to the quarterfinal in the Champions League, which I think this is a massive deal because I don't know if any of us would say, the Swedish league is the best league in the world, but the Champions League is the hardest soccer competition you can be in outside maybe the World Cup and the Euros. So to take a team not from maybe the best division in Europe and take them to a quarterfinal and playing, big teams to reach the quarterfinal, I think it's huge. I think it is massive. Again, the Champions League, that's the hardest competition in the world for soccer, hands down. And so to do that shows me not only can he win in leagues like Sweden and has done that and won multiple titles, he can do it on the biggest stage and probably with a team that doesn't have the names such as Chelsea FC or Arsenal. More to come on Arsenal. So to do that is absolutely phenomenal. Shows he likes to win. But he also then moved to coach Arsenal. And Arsenal is a big team for not only men, but definitely for women as well. And here's a stat for you. Arsenal women's team, on average, had the highest attendance per game than any other women's team in the world. So that shows you how much Arsenal fans show out for their women's sports, how much the women's team means to Arsenal in that locality over in England. That's awesome. That is phenomenal. Guess who was number 2 in average attendance last year per game. That was the San Diego Wave FC. So big shout out to San Diego fans, because that is phenomenal. We need to keep it up, and we need to try to, beat Arsenal. And now we got their former coach. But in 3 seasons as Arsenal coach, he won 2 cups. He also got second place finish in the Women's Super League in England. Also reached a semifinal in the UEFA Champions League. Bigger team now, so love seeing that he's still, reaching the semifinals. And over 3 seasons at Arsenal, Eidvall went 80, 18, and 22. 80, 18, and 22. That is a massive winning record. So he has proven he can win. He's taken smaller clubs and has won in those leagues that he was in Sweden, but also has taken larger teams and won. This individual is someone who I'm actually super excited about, and is someone I love to have here because the soccer knowledge is apparent. The winning is apparent. And again, after the tumultuous season that we had last year, I think you could not have gotten a better, bigger name coach to coach for you. So welcome, Jonas. Hope that you feel at home in San Diego. Hopefully we as San Diego Wave FC fans will be supporting you on game days. I know I'll be there as much as humanly possible. I love going to Wave games. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. But what does this mean for, style of play? And what does this mean, with the individuals he has on the team? He's very interesting in the sense of how he views soccer. He's very, very flexible. Some coaches are very structured and rigid. They do it their way, and that's the only way. So they have one formation that they never go away from, right? I don't know if anyone watches Manchester United, but Ruben Amorim is known for keeping his formation the same at all times, no matter what team he has or players he has on the team. Doesn't matter what game, who they're playing. They do the 3-5-2, which is Ruben Amorim's formation of choice. With Jonas, he's a lot more flexible. He's been known to use multiple formations. So that lets me know he's very, very tactical. And I'm not saying the other coaches aren't for having one formation. But when you're looking at player personnel, when you're looking at teams that, might play certain formations, sometimes playing a formation that gives that formation issues is a good thing, right? And being able to be flexible like that a lot of the times is a good thing. But is it almost too much flexibility sometimes? To me, proof is always in the pudding, and based off, his record and, the titles that he's won, obviously it works and he believes in it. And I think that's huge, because then that's when players start believing in it. Again, they take on the personality, the persona of the coach. But what formations does he like to play? I mentioned 3-5-2. You actually don't see 3 in the back. So 3-5-2 means 3 defenders in the back, 5 midfielders, then 2 up front or forwards up front. And so you usually don't see 3 in the back, because 3 in the back could leave you exposed on defense if the other team is attacking you. You don't see it used as much as 4 in the back. 4 in the back is the typical defensive formation, the defensive numbers that you usually have. So he does 3-5-2, but he also does 4-3-3. 4 defenders in the back, 3 midfielders, and then 3 attackers. I think 4-3-3 is usually the more practical choice. It's probably the most popular formation used out there today. It gives you just obviously a lot of balance. So I do think he's going to go 4-3-3, and we'll talk about who would be starting in that lineup. And the reason I say that, because I think he has, a lot of good wings, a lot of good attackers. So, with that, you usually have four technically wings, a left midfielder, a right midfielder, a left forward winger, a right forward winger. I think we have a lot of good wing talent on San Diego Wave. So I think that would be the route. that he would go or he ought to go, because based off the team and his flexibility, I think that is what makes most sense to hopefully win games and win games now, because instilling a 3 in the back usually takes some time. And I think with the additions that we brought in, we could still be competitive. I am worried about the players we lost with San Diego Wave FC, because not going to lie, 2 of them were some of my absolutely favorite players, and they were a huge reason, that I go watch, right? Because the entertainment that they bring, the skill, the talent, and, the game that they have is phenomenal. And both of them were, young. They were really franchise pieces. And so to see them leave, I think this is still going to make it a tall task. But if anyone can do it, it looks like it's going to be Jonas. And we'll be able to get to understand more about Jonas and the type of team he runs, the players he runs with, and how we look on the pitch and what's his philosophy and how do his tactics really show up. Because a lot can change, even though you say your formation is a 4-3-3, a lot can change if you're on defense. Is it still a 4-3-3, or does it go to more of 4-4-2? So a lot can change during the game that you don't quite see at the beginning, but if you pay really, really close attention to, you can kind of see, oh, they're doing a 4-3-3 in attack, but when they're on defense, it actually defaults to a 4-4-2, which is a little bit more sound defensive formation. But this is going to be a little chisme, which, I love seeing competitiveness. I love seeing chippiness. I love seeing, little things that allows us to talk about and give us a little fun. But when Jonas was on Arsenal, he played against coach Emma Hayes for Chelsea FC. Emma Hayes was the coach of Chelsea FC at the time. Emma Hayes is the coach of the women's U.S. national team. And she has already won gold, and she's already been doing phenomenal for the U.S. women's national team. So big shout out to Emma Hayes, and, thank you for restoring the dominance that is U.S. women's national team. But when Emma Hayes and Jonas met each other for Arsenal versus Chelsea, Jonas won. And what happened was Emma Hayes pushed Jonas. And so there was this chippiness that I absolutely love. And Emma made comments about how Jonas was too boisterous, too jovial, too almost toxically masculine. And I think that's a little bit strong for what actually happened, because you see different styles of coaching. You see different styles of personality. And obviously Emma Hayes did not like the way Jonas was acting on the touchline, where the coaches stand, because the gesticulations, the boisterousness, the fervor, the flailing of passion did not sit well with Emma Hayes. And Emma Hayes obviously made that known when they tried to shake hands and she pushed. But I actually love this from both coaches. And, I'm not here to say push people, don't hit people. That's not what this is about. But if you've played sports, if you watch sports, if you look at sports on the field, there's always pushing. There's always chippiness. It's a competition. You're trying to win. There's emotion, which if you're one of those people like, oh, no one has emotion, you shouldn't have emotion. Sorry, some people are human and then others are robots, but we all have emotion. Sometimes it gets the best of us. And, if you can admit mistakes or admit when, things are wrong, I think that's a really important thing. And to be honest, I don't think Jonas did anything too crazy or obscene at all. But again, I think in the heat of battle, in the heat of competition, when you lose, it's not fun. And if you take something personally, then you're going to respond to it. And Emma responded to it in that way. And I just, again, love it. And it's going to be interesting because now obviously Jonas is in the States, Emma Hayes is in the States. But I just love that stuff. I love when people are passionate, when people try to win, when people care about their jobs. That says a lot. And I think this says a lot about Jonas. Also says a lot about Emma Hayes' competitors. So big shout out to both of them. Can't wait to see what Jonas produces on the pitch. Can't wait to see how Jonas lines up the team. And want to see how this team rallies around Jonas and his personality, his philosophy, his dynamic. So going to see that. Can't wait to see that. And we will get into more San Diego Wave FC content. Love San Diego Wave content. This is actually probably the best part about this pod. I love still doing San Diego FC, but there's something about the Wave FC that I've just been very passionate about since they came in as a team. But we'll break down the roster and we'll get the starting lineups and the formation and how that might work with Jonas. So until next time, I'm your host, Mike Gio, and this is the Penalty Kick Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.